Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Janelle, aka Nelly. Oh wait, no, I don't want you guys to call me Nelly. I had a random person call me Nelly one time when I told them my name is Janelle. I was like, get on my face. Anyway, this is a very in-depth, detailed makeup review, updated for oily skin girls, because I'm not consistent on here, but I do like making videos on here. This is what I recommend for like the oily combination girls. And this is like sweat proof because I'm already running late. I'm already running late, but I am going to my high school reunion. Be like in depth. So first things first, I like to do is my eyebrows. This is the NYX the brow glue. Eyebrow glue where like your eyebrows won't move at all. This one works wonderfully. I like to let that dry down. And then even though I have oily combination skin, I still like to wear like more natural skin finish products. So my favorite for like today's like the days like this when it's hot and I know I have somewhere to go, I'm gonna use two primers. I like to use the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. Everybody loves the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I don't. I don't get the hype personally of the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. It just, I feel like you either love it or you hate it, and there is no in between. I like to put it on the perimeter of my face. And then the holy grail was gonna hold you down for real, like no joke, is the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Powder. She has like skin tone shades, but like this is how much I have left. I already have it back up. There you go. This is how much I have left of this primer, and I like to grab just a little bit with a little scooper. This much is usually relatively all I need, and I like to put this specifically in my oily area. So like here, all over those areas, and then I just rub it in. And as you can see, it like instantly mattified. This is also can double a little bit as eyeshadow primer. What I like to do while they dry down is to do my eyebrows. I like the Benefit Precisely My Brow pencil. I use the shade number 5, and I just do like hair-like strokes. I also have this Benefit Brow Microfiling pen. I have it in brown and blonde, but I'm using the blonde one because it shows enough for me. I carve my eyebrows out. I like to use a brush like this. This is from BH Cosmetics a long time ago. And I use the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Cafe. It's not that bright. It's relatively close to my skin tone because I don't want them like crazy carved. So I like to grab a little bit and carve out the bottom. Now, you don't need to use that specific concealer. Just use a concealer that's like, to me in my opinion, that looks good. That's more close to your skin tone unless you like that like 2010s brow, but like in a good way. Like I do like that brow sometimes, but not for all events. And I like to use whatever concealers left to like wipe it towards the front of my eyebrows because I am never happy with my eyebrows. This is just me thing. I'm still figuring out what I like to do. Okay, like today I feel like a little too thick. I'm gonna thin it out when I do the rest of my makeup. Next up is color correction. I like to use this NARS Radiant Creamy. You don't need to use this one, okay? The LA Girl works perfectly fine. It was a good deal I saw on Macy's. This is a NARS Radiant Creamy Color Corrector in the shade Deep. I do think this is a little too red. A little bit goes a long way with this color corrector, so what I like to do is just dot it. Blend it out with my finger. Next, for my color correction, I like to use this NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the same shade Cafe. If you have like one shade in NARS complexion products, you're like pretty much the same shade in all the products. I like to use this Radiant Creamy Concealer specifically for my under eyes. And I just blend it out with this Real Techniques blending brush. I really only use it for this step. The concealer already has like a little bit of redness to it. So for me personally, it like finishes the color correction. And then for my lip area, I like to use this NARS Hot Concealer. And I use a brush to grab some and like focus that around my mouth because this is more than usual that I use around my mouth area, so I'm probably not gonna put like that much foundation. Okay, so this is indeed darker than my skin tone, so you may think, yes, that is a little bit too dark, but it does the job. This can discontinue, but like I grab a pressed powder that's relatively close to my skin tone and set that area with the pressed powder, and this is definitely beneficial for oily skin people because it does help with the oil control as well for us. For time saving sake, I'm using this Made by Mitchell deep curve case. How I do my makeup is underpainting, so I'm just going to show you what that is instead of explaining it. So this is a cream contour and blush palette and bronzer. Supposedly they're going to Ulta soon, because if you're on TikTok a lot, you've heard about this brand in the UK. I got this for $10 on TikTok shop. And what I like to use, this is the deep curve case, and there's like one more underneath this for like people deeper than me. It's really beautiful. I like to mix personally shade and laid and blend and snatch together. I like to use a more like curved brush, but it's dirty because I put on makeup yesterday, so we're just gonna use this one. I like to mix them. I like to just grab a little bit and put that in the, actually no. What I'm supposed to do first, concealer. So this is the Pat McGrath concealer. You don't need to use it, bro. This is the Pat McGrath concealer in the shade MD24, MD24. So what I like to do is let my concealer sit. For my lip area, once again, I like to use a different concealer. I like the Fenty Beauty concealer a lot overall, but I'm always going to use it specifically around my lip area the most because it just doesn't really budge. But I like the radiancy of the Pat McGrath concealer. Always did. So yeah. So now while we wait for this to dry down, I like to blend out my cream bronzer or contour. So I have a more oval shape. So what I like to do is just mainly focus it on the temples of my face and around the perimeter of my head. I don't really go over the top of my head, only when I have like excess product. But I like to go like just a little bit higher than what I call my natural contour line. I like this Made by Mitchell product because, as you can see, very easy to blend, very buildable. Like I only grab a little bit and you already see it. For blush, we're going to use the shade Where's My SPF. What I like to do with my brushes, since I use a lot of cream products, you don't have oily skin, is to use this Charlotte Tilbury spray, spray my brush, and then I grab the product. So actually I'm gonna mix these two. I know it was completely different families, but who cares? So this is the shade Cowlick. And where's the SPF? Now Lily goes a long way with this. Same way with my facial structure, I like to just follow the C, I call it the C curve of my face. I'm not a makeup artist, I'm just a girl who wears makeup a lot and a lot of customers. Never in Sephora for fun. That's like my side job. It looks crazy on camera, but in person, it's actually not that bad. I do have a little bit of blush blindness. I do love a good blush moment. So, yeah, and I like to use whatever's left on the apples of my cheek. I blend out my concealer with a sponge. Where else first, then my under eyes, personally. And then for my under eyes, because my under eyes, I've accepted that my under eyes are going to crease, okay? They're going to crease. I like to look up. I like to use a mirror. I like to look up while blending this out and concentrating it in the areas that I want it to be. Because since I have an oval face, I still don't want it to have too wide because I am a heavier girl. So I like to like focus it like going upwards, as you can see. And we can put whatever excess on my eyelid. I don't mind because I don't really intend to do anything crazy with eyeshadow today. So I'm only going to do this for the sake of the video, but for a super duper bright under eye, what I like to use is the Fenty Beauty Wear Even Hydrating Concealer in the shade 400N. Also, by the way, the Fenty Matte Concealer, I like it in the shade 420. Fenty's a little weird with their concealers. So I like to use this right here. Same thing, I'll let that dry down while I apply my foundation. Today I'm wearing the Haus Labs foundation in the shade, what am I? Medium Deep Cool. 490. I don't care for this foundation. This is just most convenient what I have. I have my setting spray on my brush, and I like to grab a little bit of the foundation, and I like to buff it into the areas where I didn't apply product. So in between the contour, I don't really contour, the bronzer and the concealer, really blend. I like to use it low key to carve out the top of my eyebrows as well. I got it in gratis this month, so I'm gonna use it. We love free. But I do see why people like it. I just personally like the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin foundation, and I love the NARS Naturally Radiant Longwear foundation as well. That one's like pretty good as well. Now that's done. As you see, contour still there, blush still there. I still got the same sponge, the most cleanest area. And I like to just focus it right here on my eye. See, I'm not spreading it around the whole eye area. I like to grab whatever's left on my foundation and go over my nose because I don't like putting product on my nose. Of course, when I'm recording, my eye wants to water. So, you blend out your creases. Now we're going to the powder section. So today I'm using the Huda Beauty baking powder. But honestly, I have two different powders that I actually like better, but I'm just going to set my under eye first. So as you can see, I have the mini. So I like to grab a powder puff personally. Spread the excess, like make it more even on the back of my hand. Make sure your under eyes are not creased. When they are creased, you're setting the creases. But I like to grab a powder puff. This is the shade Banana Bread. And as you can see, the same way I like blending out my concealer is the same way I'm saying, like pressing this powder in. You really want to like gently press that product in all the areas you put concealer at. Like this Huda Beauty powder is pretty blurring. I don't know about oil control though. A really good powder that I've used for years, and I think you can see like in my older videos, is the Dermablend Loose Setting Powder. This slept on. This is a great loose setting powder. The translucent shade is actually translucent. This is a beautiful honey shade I use from under eye for my concealer, and they have a brown shade as well. This is a good product. It blurs, it mattifies, it's so good. And then another good loose setting powder is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter. I use the shade Honey for my under eyes. I used to use the shade Nutmeg for my face. That's also really good powder. This one blurs as well. Those are my top two. What people normally do is set the bronzer and the cream blush with like corresponding shades. I don't do that. So I set the whole face with a pressed palette as my skin tone shade. This is the NARS Light Reflecting Setting Powder. I set my face with the Charlotte Tilbury spray, a good melting spray and setting spray, but I use it as like a melting spray because it really like melts my makeup, makes it look more blurred and flawless. That's what I mainly use it for. But a good, honestly, dupe of this is the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray because honestly, that's what I used to use. And to me, from what I remember, it was more oil controlling than the Charlotte Tilbury spray. The powder products. So next up is I like to use specifically the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker Powder Bronzer in the shade Cocoa Naughty for my nose. I don't like to really contour my nose. I just think my nose disappears during my makeup process. So what I do is I grab a slanted brush or a fluffy brush, grab the bronzer, and just go upwards. And I bring it into my eye crease. It doesn't change the shape of my nose or anything because some people like to like change the shape of their nose. To change the shape of my nose, I just go like this and then like a little bit up here. You know, like I'm using the Juvia's Place powder bronzer in the deep dark set. As you can see, I mixed the two colors and I placed it the exact same areas where's that bump coming from? I placed the cream bronzer at with a slanted brush. I like to mix my blushes, so this is the MAC powder blush in the shade Raisin, and this is the NARS blush in the shade Torrid. These two are together are very, very pretty. And this NARS blush has like a little bit of shimmer to it, so it kind of kills two birds with one stone for me when it comes to like highlight. So I don't wear a highlight like that anymore. And I like to like pat and then swirl it in the side of my face because I just feel like that looks good. And then I go across my nose. My all-time current favorite eyeshadow primer, besides using the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm today is my primer. But this Pat McGrath Intensifies Longwear Primer. If you have oily eyelids, this is the product for you. It's not the craziest priced item for Pat McGrath. It was like $30 something, but now they're in Ulta. So you know, you can use your coupons, you can use your points. But this primer, your eyeshadow is not gonna move. Your shimmer is gonna stay as glittery or shiny as it was as you put it on. This is the best eyeshadow primer I've used. I have a backup. My go-to primer, but for my go-to like makeup for today, I'm just gonna put something on my eye. So I'm using this matte shade from this Pat McGrath palette. I'm just gonna Put that all over my eyes. Tilbury airbrush powder. I use the shade number 3. I like to use a brush like this too. So I just swirl it out, swirl around, tap out the excess, and I press it underneath my eye. I do this most of my makeup routines. Brightening effect that I want. And I press that right into my eye. Underneath my eyes, and I put whatever's left onto like the other areas that I concealed at. Please don't do it. Urban Decay just changed their formulas for all their all-nighters because it's actually made by Skindinavia. Urban Decay by Skindinavia. They're no longer working with Skindinavia. I don't know why. So dumb. But what I like to do at this point, spray my face with setting spray, and I need this to be matte. So I'm using the all-nighter ultra matte setting spray today. So now we are 95% done with our makeup. Next up is mascaras. This is my current mascara combination. I like to use the Charlotte Tilbury Exaggerize mascara on top. And I like to use the Too Faced Ribbon Wrapped something mascara at the bottom. This is the one for the Charlotte Tilbury mascara. So fun fact with mascaras, for the people who don't know, it's really the wand you need to pay attention to when it comes to mascaras. Is not the formula. I mean, like, yeah, waterproof or whatever, but like, it's the wand. Like, whatever the bristle brush looks like is what you will like more for your eyelashes. Just realize that's like better for me is to look down. Like when I apply my eyeshadow, my mascara, I'm looking down like this to like really get the lash. I like this Too Faced Ribbon Mascara specifically because of this bulb at the bottom. Yep, little specky things at the end. So I like to use that. As you can see how I apply my Balm Lash mascara, I go like this. Okay, for my lip, we're almost done with this one. I've been using the ColourPop lip liner in the shade, I want to say Central, like SZA's album, but I believe that's the same. And blend it out. I'm not going like that. I'm not using a brush. And then we're going to use this Fenty Hot Chocolate Lip Gloss. This is e.l.f. Lip Oil in the shade Rose Envy in the center. And then if you want like extra blur for your face, this is another hack. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pressed Powder in the shade number 4, as you can see in pan. And I like to like lightly dust it on everywhere. And there you go. This is the makeup. My hair looks a mess. I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. In person, it doesn't look too shabby. This is the base. This is gonna last all day. This is gonna last all day. This is my go-to like base routine. Honestly, all the time whenever I know I'm gonna wear makeup for a very long time period, even the child, like every single step is what I usually do. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you want to make other like tutorial videos, let me know. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I'll put that down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.